Hi, my name is Frank Leibel. I am bond number 1 for Phidelt Theta, Florida Iota chapter.
After 3 years of hard work, Frank Leibel was the first brother initiated at Florida Iota.
It's hard to believe it's been 27 years since we actually been chartered here at the University of Central Florida. You know, there's been a lot of milestones that this chapter has gone through in the last 27 years. And I'm here to talk to you about the next exciting milestone here at Florida Iota.
Hi, I'm Greg Rhodes, bond number 33 from Florida Iota.
You know, back in 1982 when I first pledged at Phidelt, we didn't have a house, but we had 3 brothers who owned an apartment actually right across the street from where we're at now. And over here was the SAE house. And I was jealous, so jealous that they had a house and we're living in apartments. We have an opportunity to own this place. We need to do it.
You know, as a pledge, you take a pledge to transmit the fraternity greater than it had been transmitted to you. Some of the things that I've done to try to live up to that pledge over the years is, soon after I graduated, the chapter was in a struggling time at that time. We were down to, I think, probably less than a dozen brothers. So I took over the job as chapter advisor.
When SAE moved on campus, Phidelt moved here. Since then, the chapter has grown stronger than ever.
I joined Phidelt Theta 11 years ago in 1997 when the chapter was this big. Today, there's over 90 active brothers.
And as the chapter has grown, so has UCF.
Right, what was the school like when you went?
Well, I started back in 1977, and there was only about 7,000 students at the time. And, you know, we were really known as Florida Technological University, not UCF, University of Central Florida. That actually happened overnight. But it was pretty much of a commuter school. And there wasn't much activity on the commuter school. That means you come to school, you go to class, and then you had to find activities afterwards. And that was one of the reasons why I joined Phidelt Theta.
For nearly 30 years, Florida Iota has been building bonds of brotherhood and bringing out the best in young men who passed through the fraternity. But the house that helped us do it is now in danger of being demolished.
The days of raiding the Delt house is gone, as you can see. The neighborhood doesn't exist anymore. We're the only house left over in this neighborhood.
A developer tore down the fraternity houses across the street to build a luxury student housing tower. As UCF grows and new projects sprout up, it's just a matter of time before our house is destroyed, unless we act.
We really need to purchase this house. It's a part of our history. We don't own it right now, but in many ways in our hearts we do own this house, so it's time to own it on paper now.
We've been renting for 18 years, this house, and we're just throwing our money away. Their current situation on campus with the Greek housing isn't really getting any better.
A controversial frat house at the University of Central Florida is about to be demolished.
Greek Park 1 still exists, and there's been several fraternities that have lost their houses on campus. In fact, the Pike House was condemned and taken down.
The empty houses are not for sale. UCF will rent the rooms, but also charge an annual $100,000 parlor fee on top of rent. It's just unaffordable for practically all UCF fraternities, including ours. So that puts our house in even higher demand for competing organizations. And if we lose our house, we lose a part of what made us who we are.
I moved into the house the following semester when I pledged, and it's been a lifetime of memories since then. Because of the fraternity, I think a lot of us all have bonds to where we are today in life. One of my best friends, Art Miles, he met his wife here at the house. I actually got my job through my little brother, John Rogers, and through that job I've actually met my future wife. So there's just a lot of reasons. I bet you everyone today has a connection in their life, being a friend, a spouse, or a job that somehow was connected back to Phidelt Theta.
After Phidelt gave us so much, now it's time to give back. We owe it to those who follow after to give them a greater fraternity. Phidelt deserves to shine at the 5th largest university in the country. So a strong chapter is there for your children and grandchildren.
My grandfather was a Phidelt at Colgate 60 years previous, and got a phone call from Bill. Bill says, I got a letter from your grandfather and wants you to come out and meet with the fraternity. And these were guys I'd never met before. I got a phone call before I even left for UCF. Came to school here, Met my wife here. I have 2 young daughters now. I have a beautiful family, and I owe it all to Phi Delta Theta and my grandfather and that phone call you made.
And I remember one thing that Art said that always stuck with me is he said he'd do anything to make his grandfather proud. And his grandfather was proud as can be to be a Phi Delta.
And fortunately, before my grandfather passed, he was able to went to initiation with us, and he was able to take part in that. He said that it was like one of the best moments of his life, and it had not changed in 60 years, that initiation, the way it transpired that night. He said that was a really big thing to see and be a part of again.
Help us to make Phidelt and our house a permanent fixture at UCF that will keep our international fraternity growing.
Even if Florida Iota isn't your home chapter, you still have a link to Orlando and to Phi Delta Theta in general. So I think this would be a good opportunity for you to help out a local chapter here in Orlando.
Greek Park 2, which they've been talking about building since I was active, is still not even started yet. There is no development ongoing, there's no blueprints, there's no infrastructure. So the Greek housing situation is not going to be changing anytime soon. That's why it's important for us to purchase this house. It's where our roots started, it's the beginning, we should own it.
The chapter can't live with the fear of our landlord just ripping the place out from under us.
Soon you're going to be getting a letter in the mail. Please take your time, read the letter, and consider making a donation for this project to help keep the legacy of Phi Delta Theta Florida Iota going. Thank you.
How much will you give to preserve the future of Phidelt at UCF?
Frank Liable, bond number 1, I'll be pledging $500.
Greg Rhodes, bond number 33, I'll be pledging $1,000.
Bill Cullerton, bond number 97, I'll be pledging $1,000.
Bob Mailer, bond number 101, and I'll be pledging $1,000.
Art Miles, bond number 106, I'll be pledging $500.
Barrett Johnson, bond number 132, I'll be pledging $1,000.
Todd Dubinsky, bond number 181, I'll be pledging $1,000.
We need you to help the next generation
to transmit the fraternity.
Those who may follow after.
Not only, not less, but greater than it was transmitted to me.
Just like we've done before.
Coming back to this campus in about 5-10 years is going to be one of the most exciting times of my life when I see a chapter that I help grow, and I see my old room, and I see maybe my pledge, maybe my grand little brother. That's what's really going to be in my heart, is the future of Phi Delta Theta. I'm not doing it for myself as much anymore. I'm doing it for my little brother and his little brother and that little brother's little brother and everybody that's going to come through this fraternity and let the fraternity enrich their lives as much as it has enriched mine. And that's what makes the fraternity that important to me. And I know when I come back here in 10-15 years, I'm going to see one of the finest chapters in the country, and that's what's going to really hit home with me and say, I helped do that.
The kids are playing up downstairs, sisters sighing in her sleep.